Right. All praises to the Most High. All praises to Yahweh Shem Shai. Right. Shabbat Shalom, first and foremost. Right. Shabbat Shalom to, the ancient men and women, men and women in this truth. Right. The children that are enduring the temptations, lust, and the demons. Right. And fighting until we see Yahweh Shai, right. All praises to the Most High again. Right. So, hey, it's a Shabbat, right? It's a Shabbat Shalom, first and foremost, again, right? Lord willing, you know, everyone that's tuning in or will tune in or willing, right, due to be edified, man, by, what's going on, right? So, we'll go into some precepts, right? And Lord willing, this may be something that is like a reoccurring thing, right? Lord willing, this is something that is a reoccurring thing, um, through the Spirit, right? And already we have scoffers, right? But all praise to the Most High nonetheless, man. We'll close that down, right? So let's see if we can get rid of this, right? Kind of start here, man. Right? So let's get the screen up. Right? So the Most High doesn't care about how you look. Most High cares about your nation, right? Most High cares about your nation, man. So when it comes down to how you look, doesn't really it don't matter. First and foremost, like that is completely carnal. To look at someone based upon how they look and to judge based upon that is just sheer, just off, just off, right? Just completely off, right? So, we'll praise to the Most High. It's the book of John, chapter 7, and verse number 24, right? So, like it, bear with me. So, the book of John, chapter 7, and verse 24, it says, "Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment." So, and obviously, in context, it's not just saying about how somebody looks, but you can use that through the Spirit to break that down. Really, in context, when you read what was going on, right, it was, Christ really healing, you know. So they shouldn't judge upon, or because they thought Christ was really working, but they should judge the righteous judgment because what Christ is doing is lawful. Right? It's lawful to do good on the Sabbath day, right? So, but same way, you can't just look at someone and say, yeah, this guy's off, this guy's this guy's that. You have to judge righteously according to the precepts. So, whether somebody is butters or well, really that's childish. That's just childish anyway. But really want to kind of get into the lesson, right? Kind of focus on really what's going on, right? Because you're gonna have spirits. You're gonna have spirits like that in these last days, man. Right? You're gonna have spirits like that in these last days, which are set up to cause strife, to cause confusion, to literally scoff. You have people that are agents, right? That are set up as soon as the live starts up to comment underneath, dislike, right? Mess up the the algorithm, right? You have that all set up, man. Right? Let me see if I can get that. Right? So that's why we gotta contend for the faith, man. Right? Like it says in verse 3. But precept that I wanted, right? Yeah, this is the book of. Let's start at verse. We'll start at verse 14, because what we see, especially taking place here, right in the UK, right? Because like it says, the title, "Rumours of War," and even that, this AI spirit, man. I tried to make a thumbnail predicated on what's going on in the world right now. But instead, this is too violent. Right? This is too violent. You can't show that. You know. But this is Jude 1 verse 14. And Enoch, also the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints. So, we've gone into it before. The saints here isn't talking about the angels. Excuse me, isn't talking about the Israelites. Right? Right? It's not talking about the Israelites, man. Right? Really, right? It's going into the angels. That's who those saints are, right? The thousands, right? This is Psalms 68, and I'll start from verse 17. It says, The chariots of Yahweh are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai in the holy place. So those are the thousands, 20,000, right? There's an innumerable amount of angels. Right? I literally, took a picture. I was in Cornwall, took a video rather. You kind of see in certain places in the UK, wherever you're at, you can see the chariots traveling to and fro in the earth. Right? You can literally record with your phone, and that's only of the Most High to see these things. Right? Let's get that principle. So we might be opening up a lot of tabs. Right? Amos 3 and verse 7. So book of Amos chapter 3 and verse 7. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophets. So, seeing these chariots kind of go to and fro in the earth, myself and the brother Tazapar, we would just, one time we was somewhere in Leytonstone, and we're just watching the chariots go over and go on in the same direction. So, in Jude 1 until 14, those angels or saints that it's talking about those thousands of angels, right? And yes, a man can be an angel, because literally an angel just tells you the good news, right? Or a messenger, right? But these are literally the sons of God, right? So, and really the sons of God, and Yahushai, right? He is a son of God, son of man, right? Right, but he's stored up for a special day, right? It's almost like that your trump card, right? No pun intended, right? But let's get another precept on that. Deuteronomy 33, right? Deuteronomy 33. Oh, I spelled it wrong, right? Showing who these saints are. This is Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 2. It says, And he said, The Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of his saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them, right? So those 10,000s of saints, those are the chariots, right? And those chariots, these are the spirits that are going to and fro in the earth. So when you're looking at, and Lord willing, we'll get into these, the kind of, the meat, if you want to say, of the current spirit that's on this, this side, on the Eastern Hemisphere, if you want to call it. Because a lot of the time, you have a lot of things that are not really taking place, in the UK, right? And to find these things out, you got to kind of do your research. You got to have X, right? You can download X, right? Kind of search up stuff and things come up. So when it goes into, it says he came with his 10,000 of saints, from his right hand went a fiery law. So that's going into the angels, right? But same way a saint can be, the Israelites too, right? Let's go to Revelation. Right, see that? Yeah, the sister said, pale horse spirit, a multitude, a diverse amount of spirits flying to and fro in the earth, man. Right, so you can kind of see, hey, the last time the UK was threatened on a large scale like this, right? maybe I don't know the World War II or something like that, right? Or maybe they say 7/7, right? People say maybe that's even a conspiracy, you know, to put forth biometric fingerprints. So you kind of got to do your research, man. This is Revelation 5 and verse number. I'll start at verse 11. Revelation 5 and 11. And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne. So there's angels that are round about the throne, right? There's angels that are literally they're waiting for the command of the Most High to tell them, look, hey, we're gonna go down, right? Salakia, right? Salakia, right? So, like I was saying, right, you have right, Revelation 5 and 11, and I beheld, and why don't the Christians they want to debate, right? I'm not even sharing the screen. So the Christians they want to debate, they want to pull up on the camps, which they did pull up on, Watchmen for Israel in Atlanta. They want to debate the Trinity, but they won't break down to you that this place is about to be destroyed. They will never break that down to you. But Jesus is God. Jesus is God. Right? That's what they want to break down. But tell them break this down. Right? This is Revelation 5 and 11. And I beheld and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne. So there's angels that are round about the throne of Yahweh Bash and Yahushai. And the beast and the elders, right? And they don't know what the elders are. They don't know what the beasts are. Right? And it says and I'm sure anyone that's in the truth, they have to watch the breakdowns, whether it's IUIC, right? Whether it's GMS or whatever congregation, they're watching whether it's Watchmen for Israel, Rocky House, Shai House, they're watching the breakdowns. Scratching, they're taking notes, they're writing it down because they don't know. Right? Then the AI breakdown. It says, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands. You see that? So when you really add that up, right, you see the amount of the multitude of angels, right? I can't even do the maths. Right? I can't do the maths for this. Right? See that? See, it symbolizes. Let me see the actual amount, though. Right? Because there's many angels, man. There's not just one angel, or there's just the seven holy angels, and that's it. Right? This, let's see, it says equals 100 million, and then adding thousands of thousands adds even greater, undefined amount. So the angels is an unmeasurable, countless multitude, right? So they be having. I'm not saying they're debating, but you have the Moses, you have the Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, right? The angels kind of, you know, they're going around, right? They ask, okay, what do you think? Oh, okay, yeah. You have that, man. So these angels, they don't just sit around. Okay, well, how was your day? The angels aren't doing that, right? They're asking each other, oh, how was your day? They got a job to do, right? So the angels, there's an innumerable, unmeasurable, countless multitude of angels, right? Like it says, simply as myriads. Yeah, see, that's a new word. Myriads. A myriad, right? It says system for powers of 10. Right, see that? I passed math. Right, but point being is that there's a large multitude of angels that are round about the throne of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Some of the angels are singing, right? And these are the saints, holy ones, And even if you look at that definition of what the saints are, in the Zondervan, it's those that are the covenant people, which is the Israelites, right? But these angels, we read in Jude 1 and verse 14, those are those saints, right? It says Jude 1 and 14 about the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints. And what do you think the Lord's coming to do? Oh yeah, let's type in what does Christianity, right, say about see, what does Christianity say that angels and Jesus are coming to do, right? Because even when you look at what's going on right now, that's obviously of Yahweh Shem Shai. These these spirits really, they can tap into the Most High controls how world leaders are operating. Oh, now we got to up our defense. Now we got to do this. Now we got to do that. Hey, this is all of the Most High. Oh, people talking about, we're praying for peace, right? You got to read that Bible again. Yeah, you see? This is why you cannot trust, Christianity, man. Right? This is why you cannot trust Christianity, because they will sit here and they will tell you that in Christian belief, Jesus and the angels come to earth to fulfill God's plan of salvation. Right? We don't disagree on that. Right? And that salvation is not for everyone. Right? Protect humanity. And that's what they're going off. Right? They're coming to protect humanity. Right? Which verse? Which verse says they are, right, to protect humanity, right? Right, exactly. Yeah, see? Right, let's go to that. Right, let's go to that. So they're saying, right, the verse they're claiming, you see that? So they're just taking things out of context, right? So you gotta hold the AI to you gotta hold it to accountability. Right, let's get that. Right, I was gonna pull Sirach, but I didn't pull it. Right, but let's go to Psalms 91. Right, Psalm 91, and I think they said verse 11. Right, Psalms 91. So you see, we start from verse 3. Right, Psalms 91 and 3. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler. And so even in that clause, what's the snare of the fowler? Who is the snare of the fowler? What's the snare that the fowler is setting? And from the noise and pestilence. You see that? So you can't let AI break it down for you, right? Just winging it. Just winging it, bro. So look at this. Psalms 91:13. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder. The young lion and the dragon shall thou trample. Who's the dragon? Shall thou trample under feet. So that means you're gonna, this is spirit. You're gonna do that. You're gonna trample the dragon on the feet, right, on the foot, right? So they that, and again verse 60. So you gotta keep these things in context, man. Delivering you from the noise and pestilence, man. That's that day of judgment, man. Let's go to Job chapter 5. Right, just winging it. And like that, this is Job 5 and verse, I'll start from, this is Job 5 and verse, see, and this is really going into I start at 11. This is really going into us, right? Being in that lower state, right? And just because you're in the low, you could be rich and still be in the lower state. You could be poor and be in the lower state. As a nation, and that's the thing, when it comes to the truth, is about being in a nation mentality, right? Oh, well, I'm by myself. I'm an Israelite. Well, I'm by my, it's not how Israelites would have moved, right? This is Job 5:11 to set on high those that be low. And that's what an angel would do. An angel, the protection that it gives you is to set you on high, right? That those which mourn may be exalted to safety. So who's the people that are mourning, right? So, the whole earth. The whole earth is mourning, right? When the like Proverbs, the people when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. Hey, well, we're the ones that are the chief mourners, right? Because we're still under this wicked captivity in the four corners of the earth, right? That those which mourn may be exalted to safety. And if you're exalted to safety, essentially you're raised up, right? Out of your slumber, out of whatever wickedness you may be in, right? Or affliction, which is really what that black or being black is going into biblically. We have to break down the scripture correctly rather. You don't want to just say, okay, black, 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 black. Using the precept say it's black, black, black. Yeah, but the black has a deeper, the really the definite meaning for that is affliction. It's not just about being black. But then you're gonna teach people. Like I always say this, you're gonna teach people, oh, you're not black, sis. You're not black. You're not black, bro. Now you're bringing out the precepts that say they're black when the black is really talking about affliction, right? This is Job 5:12. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty. Why don't they count this then? Because the devices of the crafty are literally, what we're seeing going on today, right? How, like going off by the title, man, right? Russia to literally attack, right, the United Kingdom, right, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. You see that? And that's really that, Psalms, that's really that secret counsel spirit, right? Psalms chapter 60, right? I spelled it wrong, right? That's that secret counsel that are secret counsels that are really taking place, right? This is Psalms 62 and verse, let me see, it might be Psalm 60 or maybe I missed it, right? Alright, bear with me, right? So there's we know the crafty counsel, right? We know that precept. This is Psalms. Yeah, that's a great precept. So we'll get it, right? I got that typed in. Psalm 64. See that? This is the book of Psalms, chapter 64, verse 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. So who's the wicked? Because this is before Psalm 91. But they just all comes together. Right? Who's the wicked here? I wonder how they would AI break that down. So it says, Psalm 64:2, it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Right? It says, verse 3, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even but bitter words. And that's why in Job 5 and verse, you see that? Job 5 and I'll read on verse 13. Right, it says, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. And when you look at that precept, man, the Most High literally, it says in verse 12, he disappointeth the devices of the crafty. Because when you look at these different powers that are set up and ordained, obviously, by the Most High, Basham Shai, that's all for our deliverance. So, they think we're gonna be here for the next 5,000 years. According to the Bible, that's not true, right? So, and if something's carried headlong, let me read another precept where somebody, they were carried headlong, man. Right? This is the book of Acts, chapter 5. I believe it says headlong. Right? Let me see. Right? Let me see. That's in the book of Acts. Right? Let me see. Oh, go ahead and see that. Yeah, yeah. That's what I want. Right? See that Acts 1 and verse 18. Now this man purchased the field with the reward of his iniquity. And really, right, this is off, right? Because Judas ate, he was an Israelite, man. Right, really, it's the spirit of Esau. He kind of, yeah, I just enslaved all these Native Americans, man. Like, I just enslaved all these Native Americans. I just enslaved all these so-called blacks. I just enslaved these so-called Hispanics, Seminole Indians. I just enslaved these people. Let me use that money and buy a field of my iniquity. That's why they want to buy these lands and put up data centers, right? So this man purchased a field with the reward of his iniquity, and falling headlong, he burst asunder in the midst, and all his bowels gushed out, right? See that? So that's that suicidal ideation, right? Falling headlong, just like it said about falling headlong, man, right? The counsel of the froward, right? And if you're froward, really you're perverse, right? You're just really abomination. You don't want to have froward thoughts, because if you have froward thoughts, you ain't never gonna enter into the kingdom. And if you're an Edomite, if you're any other nation but of the seed, the chosen seed line, right? Because people like to try and make us stumble on our words. They're saying, okay, well, so what about Abraham? Abraham's gonna be in the kingdom, right? The sons of God, right? We have to be more intellectually honest, right? So he says he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, because these nations, they think they're these wars that they fund. Remember, look at this. How much, right? How much money is made from war, right, in the UK? Let's see. See that? So it says the UK defence, aerospace, and security sectors add roughly 46.8 billion to the economy, with defence experts reaching a record high of 20 billion. Right, but I want to say how much is made. I need that's what I want. Right. So, how much? What would be the word? How much? What's the word, man? Because what's the word? Not increase, right? Because obviously this is saying how much they put in, right? Interest. How much interest, right? Interest is made. Let's put that. So it says rather than making money, the UK taxpayer incurs massive interest costs because the government must issue sovereign bond gifts to finance public spending overruns. Right? When international conflicts escalate, they trigger economic ripple effects that directly drive these interest payments higher. Right? So, look, so causing oil prices to spike. So really, this is showing that same precept, where it says about he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, because they might think, okay, we're going to have this war and it's going to help us, but really, this causes what? Frequent shock to the energy markets, oil prices to spike, lift domestic inflation, which automatically increases the interest the UK must pay. I don't even understand how you're so much in debt Now he got to pay back these people that they owe, right? See that? So that's that geopolitical information you want to look into because that's biblical too, right? So it says, reading on Job 5 and 14, they meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. So, that's that the secret councils they have, right? The dark councils and the dark hoods, right? But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the hand of the mighty, really, that's that golden city, right? That's these chief nations that rule over you, right? And the poor, who's the poor man, right? Is the poor some strange Edomite that's trying to beg for change to buy to top up his spoon and his brown, right? No, it's talking about the Israelite man, woman, and child, right? It says, verse 16, so the poor have hope, and in iniquity stoppeth her mouth. So the poor have hope because what? We have the light, right? And the light being Yahweh Shemi Shai. It says, where is it? Right? I'm going to jump down, right? Because, we continue reading this, rather. Right? So Job 5 and 17, behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh correcteth, therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. So when we going through these, we see these things happening, especially if you're in the truth, you should say, okay, hold on. Okay, this is about to happen. You shouldn't be, you're sweating. Now you're wet, right? Damn armpits, you're at work, you're damn trying to type and you're slipping on the keyboard. You're sending emails, you're writing Salakia in the email because you're panicking, right? So we shouldn't despise, these afflictions that are going on, right? It says, verse 18, for he maketh sore and bindeth up, he woundeth and his hands maketh whole. He delivered thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. Right? You see that? So that's that complete, and we're kind of approaching that month of trumpets, man. Right? Where you're going to have, and that's spiritual, where you see this is a complete month. Right? 7 being complete, the highest new moon, because it's the 7th new moon, but it doesn't remove the stipulations behind that feast day, right? Those ordinances will still be the same for any other feast day. It's just a high new moon because it's the 7th new moon, right? So the Most High is going to deliver you out of these troubles, right? Get that classic Isaiah 26 and I'll read from this. This is nice. Isaiah 26 and 1. In that day, this song shall be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city. Salvation will Yahweh appoint for walls and bulwarks. Right? And let's get this up. Right, look up bulwarks. Right? Right. And if you have a good defensive wall, right, a bulwark. Right, so if you have a strong city, right, the city is defiled right now, destroyed, right? It's being built up slowly but surely, right? Let's get the classic First Maccabees 2, where you can see, right, how we're completely destroyed, but in that day, we will be, right, at peace, man. This is First Maccabees 2 and 7. He said, woe is me, wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city. So the holy city right now really isn't in the best state. Still building up, right? Because that's what we want to have. We want to have, like it said, in that day, And you want to be able to sing songs, man, right, in righteousness without being stopped by the police, right, without being, you know, called a byword, right? Right. It says, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. So there's strangers that are in the land of in our city, right? There's strangers that are in that city, right? It says Isaiah 26:2, open ye the gates that the righteous nation, right? Who's the righteous nation? Which keepeth the truth may enter in. And the righteous nation, it can't be a people that have a million page PDF file of literal PDFs, right? Of literal PDF files, right? It can't be them. It's impossible. That's nothing righteous whatsoever. A whole island dedicated, right, to just evil rituals, man. Right? Um, what was it, man? I think they had George Bush talking about they took somebody's face off and they put someone's face and they done this and they defecated over here and, you know, they kind of chased them and they were hunting them like it's the Hunger Games or that's not the righteous nation, because it says which keepeth the truth may enter in. So you see that? So this is apparently the righteous nation. And let's get the picture. You see that? Right? So thousands march in Jerusalem pride parade under Israel's far right government. So this is the righteous nation. Right? We zoom in a bit and we'll see if maybe we might find, you know, Judith's supposed to be here. Right? So let's go, let's just quick. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 16. Why did we say that? Right, because this is Ecclesiastes 4 and verse 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. So there's no end of all the people, meaning the people that existed in the ancient world, they exist today. Right, so this is Judith. No, I said Judith. So Judith's supposed to be here. Right? Judith. Priscilla and Aquila. Bartholomew. Right? Elisha. Elijah. David, Abraham's just in the midst there, and they're waving. Noah's in there as well. Noah, right? So this can't be, because the Bible says, yeah, see this, and there's no one ever questioned this. Right? The righteous nation which keepeth the truth. Right? So you're going to tell me that Uriah, the mighty men, right, in the book of, I believe, 2 Samuel, chapter 22 or 23, right, it might be 24, I think it's 23 or 22, but you're telling me the mighty men, yeah, they put down their apocryphals and their Bibles, and they just said, hold on, we need to get into the march. Right, this is literally March Madness. You see that? So this is 2023, but they probably, you know, right, so apparently, we'll go back to it anyway, which keepeth the truth may enter in. So, you know, That's not it, right? But this is Isaiah 26 and verse number 3. Thou will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. You see that? Right? So we're going to be kept in perfect peace, those that trust in Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Right? And that's going into the children, the sons of God. Right? Isaiah 26 and 4. Trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Yahweh is everlasting strength. Right? And you know what else is in the Lord Yahweh? Right? You got Psalms 100. Right? Psalm 103. Right? I believe it is. Right? Psalms 103. See 103. Might be 106. Right? Lord, when I find it. Right? So you know, you kind of go through. Right? But essentially, I kind of started the first verse. This is Psalms 106, verse 1. Praise ye the Lord, or give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. So his mercy endures forever, right? And his mercy is not to everyone, right? So this is wisdom, a type of wisdom, right? Uh, right. So wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3 and verse number, and you can read Isaiah 14 as well. Wisdom of Solomon 3 and verse number 9. It says, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth. So the Amalekite man, he doesn't put his trust in the Most High. And he's never, ever, ever gonna have the ability to tap into the scriptures and understand it. Right? It says, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him, for grace and mercies to his saints, and he have care for his elect. Right? And the elect are children of Israel. Right? The holy seed, the chosen seed. Right? Let's get another one. Wisdom of Solomon 4 and I believe it's 14. Right? Wisdom of Solomon 4 and verse 15. It says, this the people saw and understood it not, neither laid they up this in their minds, that his grace and mercy is with his saints, and that he have respect unto his chosen. See that? So that grace and mercy is with his saints, not with everyone. Right? It's not just with the stranger that lives in the house next to you. Right? So, you know, reading of Job 5 from verse number 20, it says, in famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. So I kind of want to touch on this point here. It says, in famine he shall redeem thee from death. So when you go into what's going on, right? Now we're gonna have to just accept it, but they're telling in the UK, they're telling people to stockpile, right? Telling people to stockpile and prepare for doomsday, right? When have you ever heard the UK government tell people to prepare for doomsday? And if you're in the truth, you should already be preparing. Does it mean go out like going out to find? Let's quickly go. See that? Yeah, they're going off. Right? So this is the book of Proverbs. Confusing it, man. Proverbs 22. Right? Proverbs 22 at verse 3. It says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple passed on and are punished. So, seeing, being in the truth, you should really have that kind of mindset where you're going to be a pilgrim on the earth, right? You can't go about thinking that all the things that are here right now in the flesh are going to be. I don't know why this is freezing up now, right? I don't know why this is freezing up, right? Yeah, see that guy off, right? Now it's freezing up. Now the live is freezing up. Yeah, see, the live is freezing up, right? Yeah, see, look at this madness. The live is freezing up. Satan, right? So if you can kind of hear me, right, just give me a con or just a something, because the live is actually freezing up, right? The live is freezing up. I don't know if this is just for me, right? Yeah, see that? So I don't know if it's still moving slow, but it does look like it's a bit glitchy, right? But the live does look a bit glitchy, right? Well, let's refresh this. All right, so I think it's all right now. So again, all right. So we'll continue nonetheless. All right. So this is it's kind of confining me, right? But let's go back to it, right? So this is um, news outlets. So again, if you're in the truth, you really wanna, like it says, Matthew 24. You wanna be, your mind should already be stayed and trusting in Yahweh and try to deliver you from these days. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. It reads, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." So there is many wars going on in the earth, plenty of wars going on right now that are right taking place, man. Right, and then you got this whole Russia and they're saying they're going to attack certain places in the, or we don't know if it's in the UK to UK bases or right, but that's this is not, it shouldn't be something new for those that are in the truth. You know your nationality. Oh well, I'm wondering, and I don't know. No, you should know that. That's biblical prophecy. Yahweh Shai said it, right? But it's not the end. It says verse 7. For nation shall arise, this is Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Right? So these things are literally going on. These are the precepts that should come to mind when you're seeing what's going on in the earth, man. Right? Nation rising against nation. NATO's on the brink of being divided, right? Famines you know, kind of they're being sped up. Pestilences, diseases, right, and earthquakes in diverse places. There was an earthquake. Was that Nepal? Right, see that? So I don't know if it's an earthquake, some tsunami, right? But the earth is being it's shaking the earth. Most High is shaking the earth. Bashim Yahushua, right? So this is what we know about deadly Tibet floods, right? And just to quickly clarify, right? This is Genesis 11. So like Genesis 11, and I jumped out. Nine. Genesis 9 and verse 15. It says, "And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh." So, the Most High isn't going to send up a flood. Obviously, this is what is written, a flood to destroy the whole earth, as which was done before, man. And when you go to certain beaches, even in the UK, you can see where the rocks, certain bits of the rocks have been eroded by water. You know, some of these places are high up, but it's showing you the strength of which this water has, right? But we see these floods going on in Tibet, right? What we know about the deadly Tibet floods, you see that? See that? So the people that are running, damn, right? Right? So, yeah, you see that? So this is those floods, right? Earthquakes, destroying these bridges, right? It says at least 579 people have been unalived and nearly 2,000 people remain unaccounted for, you know? So, this flood, earthquake or landslide, right? That's the Most High visiting the earth. Right, let's get that. Um, Second Ezra's 9. See, Second Ezra's 9 and verse 1. It says, "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest parts of the sign pass, which I have told thee before." And really, the signs are the different judgments, the prophecies coming to pass. Right? It says, "Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." So that's this flood. These are one of the signs, right? These are one of the signs that are part of us seeing that the Most High, is visiting the earth which He created. Like it says, and the earthquakes in these diverse places, right? The shifting of Most High shaking the earth, man, right? So it says, let's see, there's more on that. See that? Yeah, look, same thing. Second Ezra 9 and 3. "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world." So there are earthquakes going on, right? We could even type that in, right? They're just talking about 2015, right? So more recently, right, they got a earthquake scale, This is Spain. And the geologists ain't breaking it down correctly. Right? Really, it's what? It's Yahweh Shem Yahshai. Right? UK town earthquake. Right? See that? So look, it says they're saying it's another one. Look, a magnitude 6.0 earthquake hits Gulf of Aden between Somalia and Yemen. Right? So that's there. Then they're saying what caused the Nepal floods. Right? So they're saying, what do they say here? They're saying, so it says the him. Oh, I'm gonna jump down. It says, but by a glacier. See all these adverts. It said, but by a glacier collapse so violent that it produced its own seismic signal. Right? No, I'm gonna jump down. Because the point is that it said that it seemed like it was an earthquake. Right? Let me see if I go back. So this is, it says, what caused Nepal's flash flood? Glacier collapse, allegedly a glacier collapse, powerful enough to register as an earthquake. So, they try to say, oh, it's the glaciers. Hey, everything is of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, right? You can't just finesse it and just say, okay, well, it is what it is. Some other thing happened, right? So, this is Sirach 18. Sirach chapter 18 and verse number 2. It says, Isaiah 18:3, who governeth the world with the palm of his hands, and all things obey his will, for he is the king of all, by his power dividing holy things among them from profane. So Yahweh Shem Yahshai has the world in his hand. The earth is his footstool, right? It says, verse 4, to whom have he given power to declare his works, and who shall find out his noble acts? Right? I'm going to jump down to verse 6. It says, as for the wondrous works of the Lord, there may nothing be taken from them, neither may anything be put unto them, neither can the ground of them be found out. So they're trying to break down into the glaciers. It's the glaciers, or the ice is melting and it's causing a rift. And they're seeing the scale and it's doing this on the Richter scale, it's going up and it's breaking. Hey, it says they can't be found out. And we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out what happened. Hey, the Most High done that. Right, like I said, all things are in his hand. Right? Let's get another piece. 1 Kings 8, right? 27. So the earth is the Most High's footstool, man. Right? See that? 1 Kings 8, verse 27. Right, 1 Kings 8, verse 27. Right? 1 Kings 8 and verse number 27. And it reads, but will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, the heaven and heavens of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have builded? So this earth, it can't. The Most High is not going to leave his throne, his holy, righteous throne, to come down and say hello, right? He sends out spirits to do his will, right? So this is 2nd Ezra 9, and I'll read on from verse 4. It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So going back now to Jude, and 1 and verse number 14. And Enoch, so from the beginning, Hey, these men of old, they were saying the same thing. Right? So that's the spirit really of prophecy, man. Right? Let me get a quick precept. Right? This is Matthew chapter 19 and verse number 10. So Matthew chapter 19, Salakia, not Matthew. Revelation chapter 10. Salakia. Right? And really, that's prophecy. That's the spirit of prophecy. This is Revelation chapter 19 and verse 10. It says, And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship Yahweh, for the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So these men of old, right? Right, let's read them. You don't read about these, oh well, I don't know who are these people. Hey, read Genesis 5. Right? So these men you read about, see that move the tab to the side. Right? So you got Seth, right? You got Enos, you got Methuselah, Canaan, right? Mahalil, Jared, right? Mahalil, Jared, like it says there. Enoch, right? Jared, Methuselah, right? These men, right? You got Lamech, right? And then Noah. So these men, they weren't just kicking back. Hey, they were prophesying. So from the beginning, that's the same spirit that the prophets of old, hey, they had that spirit. They were prophesying. When they see the things happen, they were prophesying. This is Jeremiah 1 and 10. No, not Jeremiah 1 and 10. Jeremiah chapter 28. This is Jeremiah chapter 28, and I'll start from 7. Nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears, and in the ears of all the people. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. You see that? So the prophets of old, they prophesied of these things taking place. They prophesied that, this place would be blown up. Right? That's all Bible, man. Oh, why are you guys teaching so rough? You guys are teaching so rough, and why are you saying that's going to happen? People are crying, they're getting upset, they're disliking the live. Oh my gosh. Hey, go ask Jeremiah why he said what he said. Right? This is Jeremiah 28 and verse 9. The prophet which prophesied of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord have truly sent him. So find one of these prophets. What shout out for these prophets that say, these pastors, bishops, these deacons, these leaders in these churches, they say, okay, yeah, God said there's going to be peace. What precept says that, man? Really, the peace is for the Lord's people, man. Right? So you can't just believe any and every of the prophets, right? Because let's get that, man. Right? Let's get that in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 18. Right? So it's prophecy. When we're seeing these things, happening, the earthquakes, they're telling people to stock up on food. That's prophecy, man. Your Christian pastor's not prophesying about that, though. Oh, well, we can eat pork. That's his prophecy. That's his prophecy about we can eat damn pork cuttings or whatever those things are, man. This is Deuteronomy 18 and verse. See that? Verse 20. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name. So someone kind of say, hey, I come in the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And they start saying, uh, you know your wife? Yeah, the Lord said I have to take her. And you got your fringes on. She's wearing her fringes. And you and your gullible mind, you say, okay, yeah. That sounds right. That sounds about right. That's off. Right? So then they just because they told you, oh yeah, well, I come in the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, you're saying, yeah, you're right. I believe you. I believe you, King. I believe you, Malak. Khan, and you're saying Khan, right? Which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. You see that? So, and most I not dealing with these false prophets, man. Right, let's get another precept in the book of First Kings, chapter 21. Right, this is the book of First Kings, chapter 21. Because remember, Jezebel, she locked up the prophets, man. That's like this place is gonna do, man. They'll say, okay, you guys, you're prophesying too hard. Lock these guys up, right? Because remember, you had, I believe it was Obadiah, right? And it's not the same Obadiah, right? I believe you had Obadiah. Just let me confirm that, right? Obadiah. I believe there are two different timelines as well. See, I want to put in news. I believe there are two different timelines, right? Yeah, you see that? So, you put time period, right? So, yeah, centuries after Ahab, so it's obviously not the same, right? Not the same. But going back to it, right? In First Kings chapter 20, you had Ahab and Jezebel locked up the prophets, right? She was kind of on, Elijah, and she said to Elijah, she was off, man, right? When you read what she actually said, and she was really, really wicked, man, right? Let me see. Right, this is see that? Let's go to First Kings chapter 19. Alright, First Kings chapter 19. So, you had people threatening the prophets. Right? First Kings 19 and verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. So this was righteous. This was holy. Elijah, he got rid of all the wicked Baal worshippers, right? That were worshipping Baal, right? He got rid of them, right? And she was upset. Oh my gosh, why did he do that, right? It says, reading on verse 2, then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me and more also. So she's kind of sending out like a hit. If I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. So this is wickedness. This is complete wickedness. This is evil. She kind of said, look, she basically saying, let these idols strike her down if you're not in the ground with the rest of those guys. Those other guys that were preaching the word mighty. Right? So she was off. Right? But point being is that, even when you go into what's the right? First Kings, the because they wanted to find the prophets that were telling the truth, man. When you read the account of First Kings, I want to say 20, right? Because Ahab said, "Look, man, this guy, don't bring this guy up because he's always telling." Right? He's saying stuff that's not nice, right? He's messing up the you know. I don't like that. He's saying I don't. Ahab basically said, "Look, I don't like that prophecy. I don't want to hear that," and he shut his ears. That's basically what he said, man. Right? He shut his ears. I say, "Yeah, get this guy out. Get this guy out." Right? He's prophesying wrong. And that's you gotta have respect the person, man. Right? The king saying he's prophesying wrong. Right? It's the book of First Chronicles, chapter 22, and I'll start from verse First Kings 22. I'll start at verse number 8. It says, so you had Jehoshaphat, he come to Ahab, to help go against, I believe it's king of Syria, right? This is First Kings 22 and 8. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, and the king of Israel was told by Ahab, there is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Imlah, by whom we may inquire of the Lord. So look, he said, look, there's someone we can speak to the Lord about, right? Yeah, this is him. He said, but I hate him. See? This guy's off. Ahab was off. He said, but I hate him. For he doeth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say so. So Jehoshaphat's kind of like, yeah, you're going off. You can't say that. That he's just saying what's ordained of him by the Most High. Right? So let me jump to verse see that? First Kings 22 and verse number 13. Right, this is First Kings 22 and 13. It says, and the messenger that was gone to call up Micaiah spake unto him, saying, behold now the words of the prophet. You can't. It's like people coming up to brothers at camp or sisters even. They're trying to ask about this, and you're telling them how you want them to break it down to you. Now, there's obviously a level of discernment to how something can be broken down, but to say, can you say it more nicer, right? And obviously that depends on their spirit, but you can't tell them declare good unto the king with one mouth, right? The prophet's telling, and we're gonna read what he says. It says, let thy word, I pray thee, be like the word of one of them, and speak that which is good. So that's off. Right? Verse 14. And Micaiah said, as the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak. So he's saying, look. Right? He's saying, look, this is what's gonna happen. There's no respect to persons. I'm gonna say whatever the Most High has told me I've got to say. And he's breaking it down straight like that. Right? Oh yeah. Hey, prophet, give me this kind of prophecy. I want one of these. You can't twang the spirit, man. You can't twang the spirit. Right, let me jump down. So this is the book of First Kings 22 and 22. So the Most High sends out these spirits, man. The Most High sends out these spirits to do what? To judge, for persecution, for famine, war, affliction, judgment, seducing spirits, weird doctrine spirits, Brothers come up with some weird doctrines, strange doctrines, right? Perverse doctrines, evil thoughts. These are these spirits that are let forth in the earth, man. It didn't just happen, oh well, it just happened because, no, it didn't just happen because it's the Most High. Oh, it happened because, when I was walking down the road and I slipped. And that's of the Most High. Oh, I slipped. Oh, Satan. Now you blaming Satan. No, that's the Most High. Who do you think Satan works for? Who do you think these spirits work for? Right? The book of this is an account, right, of the spirits, that are, they're round about the throne. Right? This is 1 Kings 22. Right? And it doesn't say, okay, oh yeah, how shy he was there. Or it doesn't say, or where does it say that? Right? This is Yahweh Shai was there. It's like, oh, he wasn't there. His 1 Kings. Remember, Yahweh Shai is part of the host of heaven, so he has to be there. Oh no, Yahweh Shai, he wasn't yet born yet. He wasn't in the spirit. He wasn't. He didn't come through Mary in her womb in the immaculate deception. This is 1 Kings 22:19, and he said, "Hear there thou for the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne." So if the Most High, he has a body, right? It's not a body like mine and yours, where your arms and your muscles, you get tired, you can't lift this up, your body is depleted. It's not like that, right? It says, it says all the hosts of heaven. That's all the angels. That's all the sons of God, standing by him on his right hand and on his left. See, how shy he would have been on that right hand? He would have been like with the heavenly host on the right hand. Right? It says, verse 20. It says, and the Lord said, who shall... So the Lord said to the spirits, hey, who's going to persuade the guy? He already knows. So that I need someone go be a demon over there, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead. And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. So they're kind of saying, oh well, this is my first time kind of doing this thing. So I'm not really, my speciality is really mainly like I deal with nuclear missiles and the bombs. Or this person, they say, okay, I already deal with like lust. I deal with lust and confusion. I deal with this. That's what basically they're saying, right? And that's how you got to picture it though, right? Because they kind of say one said on this manner, another said on that manner. So they're kind of having the angels kind of, I was kind of just like, who's got this? All right, come on then, right? Verse 21, and there came forth a spirit, right? There came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him, right? It says, reading on, and the Lord said unto him, wherewith? So how are you going to do that, basically? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail. Also go forth and do so. So just like you read in Job, where the Most High, right? Job 1, just a classic. So we read 1 Kings 22 and 22 on down. So the Most High told the spirit, you're going to prevail. That's the Most High giving that spirit power to actually, to be on the prophets of Ahab. This is This is Job 1 and verse 11. But put forth thine hand now, and toucheth all that he have, and he will curse thee to thy face. Right? So I'll read on verse 12. And the Lord said unto Satan, another angel, one of the sons of God, behold, all that he have is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. So you see that? So what does that mean? The Most High gave power, just like he did in 1 Kings 22. He gave power to who? Satan, to these spirits, to be a lying spirit, for there to be judgment, for there to be evil, for there to be affliction, for there to be punishment. That's what the Bible is telling you right here. Alright? So when you go back onto the point about this doomsday stock up, telling Britons or British people, so to say, to prepare for some doomsday prep. You see that? So it says it may sound dystopian, but Brits needing to store emergency supplies is becoming a reality. Because here, right, we have to. You see, in America, right, or other places, Britain, we're kind of like a cushion country. Let's see if there's a term for that. A cushion country, right? Let's see. Now they're country style, right? I say a cushion country. Not literally like a cushion, like it's. See that? Let's type in metaphor. Right, metaphor. Yeah, see that? Yeah. There's always a word, man. There's always a word for something. So it says a cushion country. Metaphor typically describes a nation or region that acts as a soft, protective buffer or safe haven between aggressive or competing powers. Right? So it provides insulated space that prevents direct conflict between hostile neighbors. So, it's a cushion country because they don't get involved. They don't get involved, right? Look, it says this. Geopolitical, and this is the term we're saying about geopolitics. Geopolitical vulnerability, right? They don't want to get involved, but we'll give people bombs, right? So that's literally. Let's see if it type Britain. Let's type in Britain. Let's say no, they're not. See that? So they're saying Britain is the creator of cushion countries, or buffer state. Historically, Britain's status as an island protected by the English Channel allowed it to use other countries as the chits. So see that? So they can no longer use other countries as strategic cushions to protect this empire. But when they once had that empire that they have, they can no longer do that, right? They're no longer able to do that. When you start getting involved with these other nations, like supplying them, with weapons, right? Let's see, why is Putin against the UK arming Ukraine? Right, let's see. Yeah, see, look, we'll break it down here. So we'll close that. So, right, we'll just accept it. So this is why, right? This is why. So this is geopolitics, and this links into. This is biblical prophecy, right? This is literally just biblical prophecy. So people are surprised. Oh, I can't believe he's going to do that. I can't believe he's going to attack and he's going to this and he's going to that. Right? That's the Bible, man. You don't read the Bible, you keep watching them damn TikToks and you goy slop that you keep watching on your phone, but you're looking at this, oh well, this is right? Right, this is important, man. Right, it says Russia says UK playing with fire amid reports CIA chief has warned Kremlin not to attack NATO. So, because you had right, CIA, right, was it CIA plane in Russia, right? So they kind of, because remember, I think I seen a post. Because really, Russia is gonna look at all these the enemy states, right, of these so-called Western powers. they're gonna look at um, countries like they're gonna look at America like you guys are weak because they should really decimate someone like Iran, really. But remember, Iran, like I think I saw a post. Um, this guy is like something, Pete Hesgeth or Hegseth or something like that. He's part of the whole. I think he's part of like the army side of things in the states. And he said something, and the Iran. I don't know if it's the Iran. Whoever's controlling their media account, they're doing an excellent job. They are doing an excellent job. Whoever's controlling, because that's all propaganda, you know. Certain countries they got to step up, right? You got to get a better media team, right? So they tweeted back to him and they said, "Look, we've been around longer than you guys. We've been an empire." So they're saying they basically we can last longer than you know. So you had the CIA plane. It says, "What should we make of CIA boss's secret trip to Moscow?" So allegedly they're saying he flew to Moscow to really warn Russia against attacking NATO. So it says Moscow threatens retaliation after Andy Borum says UK will help Ukraine start producing long-range missiles. So, you go to work. If a missile lands in the back of your office, hey, well, that's of the Most High, and you can blame Andy Borum, right? So it says Russia has said it could retaliate against the UK for its support of Kiev by striking military targets inside and outside of Ukraine, and made reports that the director of the CIA warned the Kremlin against attacking NATO during a secret visit this week. So, we tried to secretly go there, right? It says Andy Burns, British Prime Minister, said on Monday the UK would allow Kiev's access to classified technology to start its own production of Storm Shadow long range cruise missiles. France has also agreed to supply missile technology. Maria Zakharova, Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson, said on Thursday Britain and France were playing with fire. You see that? So, they're stirring it up, right? And like we read in, I think, Job 5, that's going to be to their demise, right? Uh, let me see, I've got a few things I'll pull up. So, right, so that. So it says, someone tweeted out, it's on the 28th of August, it's literally yesterday, right? It says, something, so this is Jim Ferguson, he said, something significant has happened inside Britain's national security machinery. Britain's classified war books are being updated. Government departments are preparing for cyber attacks, critical infrastructure disruption, energy and water failure, digital fake. See that? And they want to make things digital, which is all of the Most High. Right? Digital failure, major national emergencies, and Britain is preparing what the government describes as its largest home defense exercise in decades. Exercise Albist. See that? Albiston Shadow. You see that? So these, what's going on? What's going on? Right? I don't know where the accents come from, but and let's just get a quick precept on that. See the book of Judith, right? Chapter 2. So men, they wouldn't get ready for war unless there's a war. Right? This is Job chapter 2. I'm going to say Judith chapter 2 and verse 2. So this is, I believe, going into Nebuchadnezzar, right? Um, so just a quick point, quick bit of history, for Nebuchadnezzar, right? Right. Uh, so the Judith, right? So Judith 2:1, and in the 18th year, the 22nd day of the first month, there was talk in the house of Nebuchadnezzar, right, king of the Assyrians, that he should, as he said, avenge himself, on all the earth. So this Nebuchadnezzar here isn't talking about the Nebuchadnezzar that's in the book of Daniel, right? And really, that's a whole different name, right? Nebuchadnezzar, right? Which is really the father of Nebuchadnezzar, right? This is really the father of Nebuchadnezzar, because this time, you know, this is going into from the Assyrians switching into the Babylonian Empire. So this is just taking place a few decades prior to Daniel's time, right? So this is Judith 2 and verse 2, right? It says, Judith 2 and 2, it says, so he called unto him all his officers and all his nobles, and communicated with them his secret counsel. See that? And concluded the afflicting of the whole earth out of his own mouth. See that? So they're doing a secret council. They call it Albiston Shadow. Operation Albiston Shadow is the largest UK home defense and national security war gaming exercises in decades. So they might not be ready, man. They might not be ready, because when you look at these other countries, they're always getting ready. Right? They're always kind of doing something, because they know they're on the verge of what, man? Of all hell breaking loose. Really, that's what that's what they exist for. Right? They really want to get into this thing. Right? So, right? So that's what they want to get into. It says, scheduled to take place in 2027. Announced by the Cabinet Office in July 2026, this multi-day simulation will test the nation's preparedness. They're going to wait till 2027 to do that. What if they strike somewhere tonight? And Lord willing, right? Lord willing, all hell breaks loose, right? Could be tomorrow, could be whenever, but that's what's ordained in the scriptures, right? So I'll close that, right? Close that. Alright. So let's see. So I think I had so like let's see that. Alright. Alright. That was an interesting topic anyway, but where's the point the guy was saying? Right, so going back to it, it says, I'm not telling you war is coming to Britain. I'm showing you what the British government's own documents actually say. Then you can decide whether this deserves more public attention. So you want to be worried about this. And not to be saying you're worried. You got to be a watchman. You got to be watching. Right? Let's get a quick precept. Amos chapter 3. Amos 3 and verse number 6. I was actually there. This is Amos 3 and 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people be not afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it? So this is the trumpet being blown. Right? People, the Israelites in the UK, you ain't seeing this, man. You're not living in America where they're giving you poison for food, to the same extent. War can break out martial law, the army's there, how you get, to the same extent. You don't see that. Right? We got another one. Numbers 10. So it's Numbers 10 and verse number Numbers 10 and verse number 9. Actually, I'll start from Numbers 10, I'll read verse 3. It says, "And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation." So what does this mean? And Yahweh Shai is the door, right? You read John 10. No way else but through Yahweh Shai to get to Yahweh, right? He's mediator. So when a trumpet really signifies, judgments taking place, right? It's not going to be in the last day some guy, some small white baby in a diaper blowing a kazoo, because it's the last days, right? It's really the trumps represent judgments, right? Catastrophic events taking place that'll be happening, man. Right? And really, when we seeing these things taking place, these trumpets being blown, we should be gathering ourselves together, not hiding under our blankets, snuggled up with your bae or your rib. Oh yeah, right. I'm with rib today. Right? Or you just don't. You're not outside yet. You want to get outside, man. Right? So it says, but that was it, really. You know. So let's go back to it. So let's see what this guy is saying. All right. So we'll share it with the sound, because there's sound in this video that this guy is talking about. Like Jim Ferguson. So let's play it.
Something significant is happening inside Britain's national security machinery. And I think the British public deserves to know about it. Britain's classified war books, the plans that help determine how government responds during conflict and serious threats to this country, are being updated. Government departments are preparing for cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, disruption to water and energy, digital failure, and other major emergencies. I'm not telling you that war is coming to Britain. What I am going to do is show you what the British government's own documents actually say. And then you can decide for yourself whether this deserves more public attention. These aren't anonymous posts on social media. But when you put them together, a very important picture begins to emerge. Let's begin with something called Exercise Alveston Shadow. Government announced that in 2027, Britain will conduct what it describes as the largest UK home defence exercise in decades.
Right, so you see it there. Right, you see it there. So they're literally attempting to, make themselves ready, right? For war, man. Right? They're literally attempting to make themselves ready for war, right? See if I can get a piece Right. See that? Praise to the Most High. Let's go to the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Joel, chapter 2, and see that? It's the book of Joel, chapter 3, and verse 9. It says, Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. See that? So That's why there's a boiling tension, which is all spiritual, right? A boiling tension, which is all spiritual, that is um, gathering these nations to, you know, cause them to prepare for war, man. So let's get another preset. Let's get Micah. Here's Micah. See that? Book of Micah, chapter 4. One another precept. Let's get another one. Jeremiah 3. Salakia. So right, we'll do this Isaiah 3. Right? This is Isaiah 3. And I'll start from verse. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 3. And I'll start from verse 25. Isaiah 3 and 25, it says, Thy men chapter Isaiah 3 and 25, Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. You see that? So, and obviously not just the Israelites, it's going into all nations. That's why in Isaiah 4 and 1, say, that's the kingdom, that's the kingdom. No, keep it in the context of the scroll of Isaiah, right? It's really going into war, right? That's why a woman will, 7 will take hold of one man. A man's gonna be like Ophir, like the gold of Ophir in those days, because that's precious, that's mighty. Oh my God, she's a man, and he's gonna, right? That's why that is, right? So you can see, a spears into fruit into swords. There's a precept I'm trying to find, right? Oh, see that? It was that. It was Joel 3 and 10. I was there. So, going back to Joel 3 and 10, it says, Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. So, these nations, that were once seen as being, nothing in the eyes of these so-called Western powers, and then now beginning to what? Say that they are strong, you know? So, and hey, Satan's time is running out, right? So we'll close this down, right? What else have we got? Right? So that's something else, right? But really, this just quickly, this is going into, that whole ambulance is really irrelevant, but, you know, it's quite funny, that, right? But they said that there was like a fire in Wembley, but I don't think it's linked or anything, but it's quite, given the timing of when that happened, right? But, hey, the Most High knows, right? So, I read this. Right, so again, Russia says it could hit UK military targets over supply of technology to Ukraine. Right? So smiling very hard in that picture, but like it said, hey, won't be laugh now, cry later, right? Laugh now, cry later, right? Let's get up. Second Peter 3, and these Russians, they have them. Was that Satan 2, Satan 1? They got these bombs with like Zyklon. Was that Satan 1? Yes, they got Satan 1. They got Satan 2. A heavy intercontinental ballistic missile. That's what they got. They got that in their pocket, right? Let's see. Look. So they got Satan 1. See that? So it says the Satan 1 is the R-36 SS-18, a Soviet-designed silo-based intercontinental ballistic missile designated by NATO reporting. So apparently NATO named it that. Damage to UK if it was used. Let's see. Let's see how badly this would damage the UK. Causing millions of immediate deaths and a total collapse of the nation. So you're gonna wait. You're gonna wait till 2027 to start these war games. Hey, it could be over in a matter of seconds if something like this was to drop. So it says each warhead has the power of 500 to 750 kilotons. For comparison, this is 35 to 50 times stronger than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. You see that? Yeah, you see that? So and it says, look, each individual warhead, it says, it says targets would likely include major cities like London, Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, along key military command centers, and they probably know where these things are at, right? You know, you had the Russians that were supposedly, just going around in submarines, right? You got, you got Satan 2. Satan 2, it says it can't destroy. It carries enough nuclear warheads to cause catastrophic damage to the population. It says, right, they said it could completely wipe out Great Britain or submerge the island, but that's quite funny. Right? So it travels at hypersonic speeds, you see that, and could reach London in roughly 200 to 210 seconds. Right? That's about what? 60, 120, right? 180, right? And then it's like maybe like just under 4 minutes. So at 6, 12, 18, 24. Alright, that's just under 4 minutes. So it takes you 4 minutes to go off and commit sin, and it takes 4 minutes for Yahweh Shimi al Shai to send that judgment. See that? Right? So it says it has a re-entry. So, maybe they kind of think, okay, maybe it's going to go and hit, I don't know, the House of Commons. They might say, okay, hold on, there's over Zendos, right? Because you know how the Russians speak. There's over the Zendos. And the missile will kind of be, let's say it's going like that, right? The missile kind of might turn around and then drop down on, number 10, right? Let's say. They might do that, right? This is Second Peter 3 and verse 9. It says, "The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance." This all is not talking about everyone. It's talking about the children of Israel, right? The sons of God, because repentance is for them, right? Verse 10, it says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works there that are therein shall be burned up." How are they going to be burned up? Be burned up because of this Satan 1 and Satan 2 and all these different missiles that they're capable of using. And don't forget, you got China as well. Right, what I want. Right. Pro Revelation 9. Right. The book of Revelation, chapter 9. I'm going to jump down to right. This is 9 and 17. "And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone." So this is going into the missiles. Maybe Revelation 9 really is going into those missiles, and even like it makes that it makes that roaring sound as of a lion, you know, and the smoke, that comes out of it, and even that jacinth, you even go into that, right? Bless me, right? Right, Salakia. Right, when you go into jacinth, right, used in ICBM, right? Where is it? Right, Zyklon. Right, that's, you see that now they're saying it's not real. Right, Zyklon. Right. Right, so Zyklon is a Russian scramjet nuclear capable hypersonic cruise missile. You see that? So that Zyklon, or that jacinth, right? And let's put it up. It's that blue, that Bible. Right, Revelation 9. Right, you see that? So I noticed this is about the sixth trumpet, so to say. So Revelation 9 and 3 of 13 rather, and the sixth angel sounded. So that's that trump, right? That's that trump. Like it says, I'll read on Revelation 9 and 13. It says, "And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before Yahweh." So even in the heavens, there's a golden altar, right? Likewise, there was literally a golden altar in the temple, in the tabernacle. You have that you have it before the Most High. It says, verse 14, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, "Loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates." And those are the spirits, man, that are set in that region of the world, right? To cause death, judgment, confusion, right? It says, let me see, I'm going to put that word up, jacinth, right? So, and the breastplates, really, that's that metal coating, right, that they have, right? It says jacinth, right? let's see. Right. Hyacinth, the color, so it says a red coloring on black. Right. So when you go into that jacinth, it goes into these missiles. Right. So that's that cyclone. Alright, so hey, this is all of what we see today is just biblical prophecy. Alright. So right, let's see. So like the Lord said, alright, let's get another one. Alright. The Lord isn't slack concerning his promise. This is Isaiah 55 and verse number 11. It says, so shall my word that goeth forth out of my mouth, it shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. When the Most High says this is going to happen, oh, well, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's what people say. Oh, it's not going to happen. Hey, all right. You keep playing with the Most High. The Most High said, it's not going to return unto me void, meaning what? What I said, that's what's going to happen. Well, actually, another one. Ezekiel 12, right? Verse 25. It says, Ezekiel 12 and 25, for I am the Lord, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. It shall no more be prolonged, for in your days of rebellious house will I say the word, and will perform it, saith Yahweh Bashem Yashai. So the Most High is going to perform these things, right? Definitely going to perform these things, right? Let's go to what Christ said. All right, Matthew, because originally I wanted Matthew 24. So it's what it was talking about famine. When you read, it was talking about famine and certain foods and whatnot, right? Not being, telling people to stockpile. Remember you had that in the time in Genesis, right, with Joseph, right? The famine. And you prepared, man. Right? You had 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. Right? So this is Matthew 24 verse Matthew 24 verse even back on the point of the trumpet, Matthew 24:31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So what? Right? So the trumpet signifying that catastrophic event, that judgment that's taking place. Right? And then the elect, they're going to be gathered. Right? I'm going to jump down. It says, Matthew 24:35, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. So the words, this ain't gonna. Remember, you're gonna have you're gonna know the precepts in your mind. You're gonna, okay, hey brother, can you break down this to me, right? So it says, verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. It says, it says, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Right? They were probably banging on the door. They're banging on the door. They're trying to get in. Hey, no, I ain't trying to hear that. you know. Oh yeah, let me open it. If he opens that door, we're all getting confounded, right? That's why the book of Second Ezra, chapter verse 5, no, Second Ezra 9. Second Ezra 9 and verse 11. It says, "And they that have loathed my law, while they had yet liberty," that's that the law of liberty, "and when as yet place of repentance was open to them," and just like that ark, the ark is literally open to you now to repent, turn away from your sin, to ask for forgiveness, to put your fringes on in sincerity and in truth, to abide in His word, to labor for the Most High, Hashem Yahushai. It's but it says understood it not, but despised it. So you despise it, and when you despise something, you know, you read Revelation 2 and verse 4. It says, "Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love." So that's despising something. You despise the words of the Most High, right? You say, "Oh, well, I don't understand." You despise it. You turn your back on your Halbashim Yashai. That is completely off, right? Myself and the brother Nathan, like, we were talking about this brother. He said, brother Nathan said, I don't know what that is, but I might get it. Brother with that Big Daddy Kane spirit. Brother dressing like a pimp. You know, he's got the goatee. Brother used to bring out mighty reading. Now he's driving around in a lowrider with the hydraulics, right? Not literally, but you might as well be, man. Right, it's the book of John, right, chapter 15, verse number John chapter 15. I'll start at verse. Because essentially, when you despise and leave your first love, essentially you hate Yahweh Shai. Right, I'd put it like that. Right, this is John chapter 15, and I'll start at verse. John chapter 15 and 23. "He that hateth me, hateth my Father also." See that? So, you know, we have left our first love, but those of us that are in this truth, walking in truth and sincerity, you know, repenting day to day, right? Having our conscience, you know, cleared essentially by repenting, by being humbled and kept and under the law of liberty. We're not under the law of sin and death, right? We're under the law of liberty. Clearing our conscience, you know, making sure that our garments are unspotted, right? So this is 2nd Ezra 9 and verse 12. "The same must know it after death by pain." You see that? So that's what the Most High says, verse 13. "And therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished, and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created." So you know that's talking about Israel, right? The children of Yasha Allah, right? So hey, all praises to Yahweh Shem Shai, right? And I'll get one more precept, right? So you gotta be a watchman, right? When you see these things taking place, to sound the trumpet, you know, to let the men know, women and children know what is going on, man. right? If you don't, hey, well, what the hell? What the hell are you doing, man? Right? This uh is right Ezekiel 3, the classic Ezekiel 3 and verse number 17. It says, "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word of my mouth and give them warning from me." See that? So, hey, you're supposed to be a watchman in these last days, man. So with that, say all praise to Yahweh Shem Shai. Right, Lord willing, you are edified. Right, by that, Lord willing, you're watching, right, and watching the signs, man. Right, watching the judgments of the Most High going out, taking heed, right, repenting, right, praying, reading, fasting, Bashim Shai, you know. So we praise to the Most High, Kwame Sha'Allah. Right, remember it's the Shabbat, right, so Shabbat Shalom as well, right, again, ain't no sex on the Sabbath, right, no doing your own lusts and pleasures, right, on the Sabbath day, man. Remember it's a holy day, not just some random, some regular schmegular day. Hey, it's the Shabbat, it's the highest day, right? So with that, I say praise to Yahweh Shem Shai, Kwame Sha'Allah, Shalom, Shalom.